final chance for drivers to make their way to the grand final. Welcome along to Road Atlanta and the penultimate round in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. It's all built up, 12 more drivers with chance to put points onto the board and lock themselves in. Our junior Kanki party alongside of Lewis McLeod as we get ready to go racing here at what is bound to be, I think, maybe the most intriguing race of the season. Familiar names, new names alongside, and Lewis, I think it's going to be interesting. Boy, I'm jealous of that t-shirt.
Thank you. A deal's a deal. I did say if Patrick Holtzman won the previous race, I would wear my mouse top. I knew Rene would be sat there if I didn't wear the mouse top. So here I am. I am ready. I am in it. I'm a shill now. It's fine. Yeah, we're in for an exciting one. This one, look, we love a bit of Road Atlanta. Last time it was almost a little bit calm, aside from turn 2. Of course, there's that incident between Yuri Toman and Max Benneker where Patrick Holtzman came through to take the win. But this is it's a bit more of a dynamic track. Big overtakes down towards 10A and the like, and let's be honest, survival.
Definitely very bumpy facility, and I think standing starts here as well, right? Into the opening sector. 2x2 could be quite interesting. Let's take a look at that schedule, where we've been, of course, and where we've still got left to go, because the schedule started with the Hockenheimring, Spa, and Monza being known, Orchard Road and Road Atlanta being recently announced. And you, the fans, you've had your say. You've chosen where we're racing in that grand final. And Lewis, we're returning to the Hockenheimring and to Spa, and we'll see what Road Atlanta's got in store today, because it will be the final of our showcase in a, well, handful of weeks' time.
I think the big curious bit there is how is Max Benneker going to do, because when he took that victory at Monza, was when we didn't know what rounds 4 and rounds 5 were going to be, and he said the rounds he didn't want it to be was anywhere bumpy. And yeah, Road Atlanta's quite bumpy, so to have that in that final round in April, that's going to be very interesting. This will be a very telling round for Benneker. If he dominates today, then yeah, I think we can almost basically give him the crown right now, but let's be honest, might not be playing to the full book.
No, again, after last round as well, there was a bit of contact. Benneker's 100% streak has not continued. We're hoping to have a bit more excitement moving forward. Again, if you're joining us for the first time, we're talking about the grand final. Why is that important? Well, over the 5 regular season rounds, there are points being paid out. There's no prize money being paid out. The top 12 in points all go to compete in that grand final. And let's not forget, 2 races tonight, only race 2, where the points are up for grab in the search to try and fight for the championship prize. Lewis, I love the way that this format has played out, race 1 building up to race number 2. But I think here at Road Atlanta, with the way that the pre-qualifying has gone, we have 7 drivers who are very close at the front, and then a few drivers maybe a little bit further off. The margin between those 7 drivers, though, we're talking tenths of a second.
Yeah, exactly. You know, things look really, really tight at the front. Yeah, obviously towards those back end, like we can see quite a few people qualify, fair enough. But those, I think we've classified them like the RaceSport regulars. You know, the ones that we've seen since ESLR1 and all that kind of stuff. Like these are drivers that we see on the platform all of the time. So it's no shock to see them on here and as fast as they are. The battle for the win is between them, but again, for the most part, I think they're all basically secured on their way through.
Yeah, let's see if we can talk about championship standings as well, because Benneker comes in with, a 24-point advantage over Moritz Lohner. It is Maus 1, 2, and 3, and then R8G 4 and 5. But with a race victory being worth 20 points, anyone who's got more than 20 points coming into this one can feel comfortable. Below that, there's a little bit more uncertainty. The likes of Nuninghoff, Schoniger, Fiala, we haven't seen them for, regular rounds of the championship, Lewis. They may be watching on with bated breath as to how the rest of the competition goes today. Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of like trying to look to see where the major threats are for them, to see who can like make their way through. Those that are maybe like lower down and might sneak something special, but they're already inside that top grouping, like Smeedel and Matea. It's only some of those ones that are way down that I just don't believe have the pace anyway to challenge that top grouping. So I would say, realistically speaking, if I were a betting man, I would tell you that this would be the 12 drivers that we go through. But you just don't know. Wojciech Fiala on 5 points. That is that's very much a passable effort.
It is, and well, I think one other thing to consider, right, is we're talking about the grand final being 3 distinct races in and of itself. These points Well, they're not going to be carried forward. We are going to use the ranking, though, to give the drivers some bonus points heading in, so we're not all starting from zero and an even playing field. Lewis, the driver that leads the championship going into the final, 20 points, second place 15, etc., which does reward them, of course, for the opportunity, or rather the consistency over the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have to wait and see about what's going to happen when it comes to that final, because obviously that's a little bit way down the road. This for those drivers that are already secured. Don't think that this is going to be boring, because those drivers that are already secured, even like all three of the mouse drivers and stuff, they're coming into this knowing that this is the last track that they will see in this championship when we go into that final. That making sure that you're getting this one right is going to be absolutely critical.
You can see the drivers out there on track right now. This is such a fascinating racetrack, and let's dive into our track guide for the penultimate time this season.
So let's take a look then at the final circuit from the main season here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. It is, of course, Road Atlanta, an absolute classic and staple in the world of motorsport. Broke ground in 1969, opened in 1970, and has 12 of the most iconic corners in the world of motorsport. 4.1 kilometers all the way around, obviously divided up into the standard 3 sectors as we expect. The first one being incredibly short, the second one having the most corners in it, and the third with that best overtaking opportunity. Turn 1 really tricky, very fast, going up the hill as you begin that climb towards turn 2, going through the blind turn 3, pull it back over to the right hand side as we descend through the S's, back up towards turn 5 and throw it in a high speed. 6 and 7 potentially underrated and underestimated by some of the drivers. Turn 7 is one of the most important corners on the circuit because it leads all the way down towards the chicane at 10A and 10B, the best overtaking opportunity around Road Atlanta.
And a track, of course, that was meant to bring a slice of Le Mans into Georgia, and boy, has it done so in the years since Petit Le Mans has come into existence. Qualifying underway right now in a qualifying session where I expect the drivers to build on up. It took a while, let's be honest, for Beneke to get to the top on the streets of Singapore at Orchard Road last time out, but I think here at Road Atlanta, it's a track that, Lewis, let's be real, everyone's a bit more familiar with.
Yeah, these drivers, they've all battled with it, or quite a lot of drivers have battled with it in ESLR1. A lot of drivers have seen this one and driven it in the world of sim racing a lot over the last, how many years they've been in sim racing. A couple of places where you can exceed track limits, T3 and, of course, 10A, 10B, that kind of chicane section, you can exceed those track limits. But let's see what Maximilian Beneke can do across the line. I believe, actually, to start his first time, rather than, no, never mind, he's set an 18.6. That's pretty quick.
That's not a bad lap time. We'll see the rest come in, and already he's got a 10th and a half over Dambeats, who's then 1,000th. Oh, quicker than Yuri Toman. So close margins, just Beneke is establishing himself at the front instantly. And you mentioned, right, after round 3, we chatted with Beneke, who at that point had a 100% streak. He said, what was the couple of things that he didn't want? I think he explicitly said, by the way, he didn't want Road Atlanta.
Yeah, he did. He said it because it was about the bumps. Did not want Road Atlanta, and alas, that's what we've got. It is what it is at the end of the day. But he did top the pre-qualifying coming into this. The lap time he's set to do so was a 5.66, so he's only about a 10th or so off of that time. And let's be honest, he's probably not going to hold off too much in that very speedy yellow Porsche.
Yeah, I love the. Are we going to have color talk again today, Lewis, or can we avoid that? No. Okay. It's part of the...
There's two things guaranteed about this broadcast. Number one, we're going to talk about the colours. And number two, we're going to talk about how terrible the corner numbers are around here.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to do that too much, because otherwise it could be the entirety of these 60-odd minutes that we're going to be here. Just look at the focus, though, on Yuri Toman as he under the bridge and now wrestles that car down to the final corner. In these machines in qualifying, it should be foot to the floor and flat to the line, but as he gets no improvement there on that second timed attempt, already with about 5 minutes burned on the clock. We've got 11 drivers' time set, 12, of course, represented here today. And as we mentioned, it seems as though we might have a 7-car grouping at the front, where effectively it's 3 or 4 tenths that covers them right now. Moritz Lohner, the slowest of that grouping, and then those behind. A couple of them rejoining us after debuting last time on the streets of Singapore, and then some new drivers for us to see as well, as that's the, what is that, Riviera Blue for Thibaut Casabon?
Oh, I think so. Hold on, I will double check. Thibaut Casabon is in Riviera Blue. You're absolutely, see, there you go, it even pops it up for you. Nice.
I don't even have the list of colors. I just made a wild guess.
That was good.
effective, by the way, have been these colors at drilling them into my head over the last couple of weeks. Lewis, Streets of Singapore, qualifying ended up being relatively important. How important will qualifying be here?
I think fairly important. I mean, look, yes, of course, you've got the opportunity to overtake down to 10A, 10B. But realistically speaking, when you go through those S's at turn 4, there's no real overtaking opportunities in that kind of first and second sector. It's only really 10A, 10B. If you get bold and brave, that is not a good line from Kazamon, which would basically invalidate that lap and the current one that he's on.
You say that, but Lewis, he's 400ths off of Benica.
How did that not get invalidated then?
I mean, maybe that's just the function of where the timing line is. I'm as befuddled as you, I'll be completely honest.
I didn't even look at the tower. I was like, slam dunk, that lap's gone. That's crazy.
That is insane. Yuri Toman's found some improvement as well. So suddenly Benica's time has been closed on. Wow. Clearly, Lewis, we often say it, right? There's a reason we're not out there driving.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was some track limit abusing coming in from Thibaut Kazamon.
That's Paul Smith.
But, each their own. Each their own, as we see Yuri Toman working his way now down into T7. You were saying about some of the new drivers and stuff that we've got. I did see there was someone who's basically like a super sub coming in basically last minute in the chalk white car, Kimi Happler. Was talking about his sim racing experience. Would you like to guess what sim he's been on? What sim racing experience he was talking about? Guess what the sim was?
Live for Speed.
No.
No. Wrench Sport.
No. It was the Crew 2.
The Crew 2. Oh, well, this is the thing to remember, right? So many people find their way into sim racing through unconventional means. I mean, my path to sim racing technically started with Dirt 2. Colin McRae, Dirt 2.
Nice. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, at the Crew 2 I laugh, but that's fine. I always played like Forza and stuff back in the day. Dirt 2 was a classic, by the way.
That sure was a classic. Dara McCormack, one of the quickest on a set of Corsa Competizione. He started on Forza with a controller, right? Like, talking to Nicholas Johnson, who used to be a competitive Forza player, maybe one of the best in the world as well back in his day, who actually works in gaming at Porsche, and he was saying that Forza is one of the best controllers. We're getting very off topic in terms of sim racing, but it's just a reminder, you don't need a fancy sim rig to be a part of the world of sim racing. Max Verstappen has spent most of the last week on a controller just because he wants to be part of the fun with his Team Redline teammates.
Exactly. So you've always got to find a way into the banter. That's why sim games that you need to be adaptable for a controller. It needs to have the working with. Even though I can't drive on the controller anymore, but that's fine. Thibaut Kazamon here going down the backstretch through the imaginary turns 8 and 9 down into 10A. You said you're not going to talk about it. I'm going to bring it up constantly. But could well be a good time here if it still counts. I don't really know.
That is the thing, right? We have no real now understanding of where that track limit is going to be. He's not really touching the curb on the inside, but rides 2 wheels onto the left-hand side. Now, Benica found a small improvement to an 18.627, so it's now 72 thousandths back to Kazamon, and then 8 thousandths back to Toman. I mean, we're talking small margins. Dan Beats has just improved in time, but not in position. 6 minutes left to go. These drivers are just building. It's a fixed setup, so they've got a fixed amount of fuel, but everything kind of resets every time at the line, which is a really interesting thing, Lewis. They're not so concerned about the games being played with the tires.
Yeah, exactly. It's when it gets reset at the line, it's kind of it means there's an equilibrium. It means there's no point in brake dragging or driving onto the grass or any other shenanigans. You just go for it, and they get reset at the line anyway, so whatever build-up you do, kind of tough and irrelevant. I think the big disappointment at the moment from qualifying, sorry to my boys at Mouse, but what's happened to Moritz Lerner? 7th place?
Well,
it's miles now.
Can I give him is it fair if I give him racing driver excuses?
Sure.
I mean, is that acceptable? Like, racing drivers will give their excuses anyway, but Moritz Lerner, he's been back on his old stomping grounds this past week, Lewis. Competing in DTM Esports.
Yeah, that's not an excuse. That's fine.
It's not an excuse, okay. I don't even remember how it went for him. It didn't go badly.
No, me neither. Yeah. I just know it was at the Norris rink. I opened it and went, oh, cool. I didn't even look at the tower. To be fair, the tower wasn't up for the most part. That's what we're talking about. So sorry, I know Connery's here as well. Paying attention.
Live broadcasting can be fun. Benica down through the S's, and again, he's found even more of an improvement. He's to a 118.599. I mean, we're chipping away hundreds and thousandths here, but looks pretty calm right now. He, by the way, Lewis, has the white mouse top, which, what is your opinion, white or red? Which of the mouse tops looks better?
I prefer the red, but I prefer the older mouse shirts. I think probably the one that Benneke's wearing right now, the one that's missing a certain logo of a different manufacturer.
Yes, that's
exactly.
Patrick Holtzman put on at the end of last round for an interview, and then we had to crop out of the picture. Oh, lovely.
Good man. Good. I mean, that's tough. I prefer the red one, but I do think the white one's more like mouse, if you know what I mean. It's really hard to put my finger on it. Like, it's
because red to me is mouse.
It's mouse, yeah, it's true. But and every time I see like someone playing or driving whatever for mouse, it's always in a white shirt. I don't know. I generally prefer the red one. I was very happy because obviously George and Jasmine, they got the white one. I got given a red one, and we got a wide boy chasm on there for a second.
We also got very, very squirrely on the car. I mean, Bumpy, just look at the body language of the car. These are machines that are being put through their limits right now as we jump over to Yuri Tobin, who's not just through the limits through the S. Just look at how he's straining with the sim rig as well. Yeah, this is hard work for sure. I think I prefer the red shirt just because, like I said, mouse to me is red. No, that's a reason against it, you know.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
No, we had. Sorry, go ahead.
It's because I got a red one. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, of course, you won this. Yeah, it's fine.
That is definitely true. We had some fun this past Thursday, kicking off the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Canada. So don't forget, there's regular Carrera Cup Esports action here on the Porsche Twitch channel. So you should stick around and follow it all. But you know, I think the interesting thing is all these different formats. In particular with this one, Lewis, race 1, no points, race 2, having the points paid out. What have we learned so far over the season about what race 1's going to be at a track maybe like this?
It's normally like a little calmer, I guess. So, there is a switch position. Yuri Toman goes up into second place. Normally, we would expect like that qualifying race. There's a bit of battling early on, and then everything kind of chills out. Here is wide boy himself, Thibaut. He's not upside down though yet, so that's fine.
How is he so wide?
Just the camera feed he senses is top tier. It is just top tier. Casmon, man, it's fine.
And is that a computer next to him, or is that a fan?
No, it's an aircon thing.
Ah, okay. I was going to say I'm a fan of Thibaut Casabon.
No, do you know what? That's always what I thought. I thought when I'm driving, what I want to do is I want to get my PC, I want to put it on a wooden chair next to me, and just have it there, to keeping me nice and warm whilst I'm in the middle of the race.
Do you know exactly? It's a bit of airflow. That's what it is.
Goodness me.
36 thousandths at the front between Benneke and Toman, so it has gotten just that little bit closer, and we're talking 4 cars split by just over a tenth of a second, and it will please Lewis at least to see that Moritz Lohner has jumped in front of Schmiedel and Mattea to grab a spot inside of the top 5. Now, we should start to see what I would suspect are going to be the penultimate or final times that most of the drivers will get onto the board. Not sure that all of them will use the 2 laps they have to their full effect. So to the line, here comes Casabon. Is it an improvement from 3rd? No, it's not. He's got 2 more chances at most to try and go quicker.
Yeah, indeed. So there's not long left to go in this session, and that's not a good line from Yuri Toman. He's really channeling your dirt too, and then slaps that curb over. I don't know if he's looking particularly impressed, not impressed, or just very neutral about the whole thing. I mean, to be fair, he has put in a very solid lap time. Max Benneke really struggling around Road Atlanta. That's what we're seeing. He's really struggling as he thought he would. Obviously not. This is Max Benneke we're talking about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you tried saying it with a straight face, didn't you? But it's one of those statements that he's not had 100% record, Lewis. That's the most unsuccessful thing that we can say about Max Benneke this season. And of course, it took a little bit of contact to be assisted as well. Now, that didn't look like a particularly quick exit out of turn 7. This looks a little bit more up to speed as the Speed Yellow 71, which, by the way, Benneke has very much made his own over the course of the season. We've seen him in every single round in those colors. Chicane, you've got those bollards which prevent you from cutting too much on either side as you switch back through 10A and B. I still don't know how you choose corner names and numbers like that, but whatever, that's for another day and time. 18.599 to beat, and Benneke does not improve. Doesn't look too disappointed.
No, Oh, he wiped a bit of sweat from his brow, although I think that's probably more an itch, if anything like that. I don't think there's any sweat on him as Yuri Toman begins his final lap in the session, slaps it over the curb. Watch the rotation of the car, so good through there, and then picks up a little bit of grass on the left-hand side to help it go through, but obviously that's more just preparing for the race, isn't it?
Yep, and that's the session coming to an end. You see, I forgot, we were so busy with the Porsche Esports Canada stuff on Thursday, I forgot that the clock strikes 0 here, and that's the session done because it was opposite on Thursday. That's the joys, though, of the Esports Carrera Cups. We have so many different unique formats that we can bring, and that is qualifying done and dusted. And yeah, surprise. Max Benneker is still on top. He told us he would struggle, but the bumps here, no match for the Maus 71. Only 36 thousandths back, though, to Yuri Toman. There was, of course, some drama between the two of them a couple of rounds ago. What will happen this time by? Thibaut Casbon down in third, 2 R8G machines behind the Maus driver. And then Dan beats Loner, Schmiedel, Mattea, the rest of that top 7, where they're very close. I mean, almost 2.5 tenths of a second between them. And then Egger, Tusit, Ladler, Happala, and Thunder through the rest of the field. And Thunder is a great race driver name. I'm just trying to figure out, given that, you know, there's an 8th place up for grabs, championship standings, 12th came into this one on 5 points. There is a very real chance, Lewis, for one of those drivers to make their way to the grand final.
Yeah, any major drama in the race, and it will potentially be open for one of those drivers to sneak away past, to move their way into the top 12. Like I say, it's only really one of those ones right at the bottom that's going to lose out. Realistically speaking, no one else, unless there's some incredible drama in this, everyone else is relatively speaking very, very safe within that grouping. But I think we'll be able to see a pole lap here on board the Benneker.
Here it goes as well. As you come out of the final corner, you can already see the commitment on the run to the line. You'll see on the dash, by the way, the delta, so just keep an eye on that. But through turn 1, slight clip of the inside curve and send yourself all the way to the outside. You need to be brave. You need to be willing to trust the car is going to turn through the corner. I mean, that's about as loose as you could hope for. Over the curb at turn 3, rotate on the inside of turn 4, and then a slingshot down into the S's and the crucial turn 5.
Wow, so committed through here up towards T5. Run out a little bit wide. Make sure not to go too deep into that gravel trap. Keep it within the cones as well. So well judged. Then you've got 6 and 7, which feels like a bit of a breather, but the average speed through 6 is actually quite high because it's a fairly constant radius corner before you get down towards T7. It's slightly more than 90 degrees. I think it's about 100, 110 degrees going through there. But you must get the exit correct as you go out on towards this backstretch through the imaginary turns down towards 10A.
Yeah, how many imaginary turns is it? 3?
Well, it's 8
like
and 9. 8 and 9 don't exist. That's fine.
I mean, you make them up along the way. And then it's a downhill braking zone, which can be tricky sometimes, but you're just going to see Benneker here very, very committed, as deep as he can go as well. Clip the curb on the left, hit the curb on the right, and just rotate your car underneath that Rennsport bridge and run yourself down to the line. Just watch the arc that he takes here. It was a little bit tighter of a line, straighter to the timing beam itself, but it goes to show that that line that we saw from Thibaut Casbon slightly earlier that maybe slightly confused us might not have been the optimal line, and there may have been a little bit more time on that run around. This is a great off-board perspective as well, just showing A, how bumpy it is, B, the margin for error these drivers leave.
Yeah, got a little bit of cheeky drone cam out, and like I say, you can see, I love it going through the exit of T3 when they just about dip 2 wheels in the grass to help that rotation through. Beautiful car control, and like I say, these cars don't really behave. I wouldn't say unpredictably, but they don't. They're a bit like Slippy Slad. It's not as if like it's point and squirt like it is in some like open wheels, like even Formula 1 and stuff, where you kind of turn and you've just got the grip to deal with the corner. In this, you're kind of like resting all the way over. So to keep it right bang on that line in a car like this, really, really tricky.
As your countdown timer, by the way, if you're wondering when the first of the races is going to get underway. No points on deck for the first race. It just sets the grid for the second race of the identical length, and that's where the points will get settled, and we'll know then the 12 drivers that will lock horns on April the 6th for 3 races. That should be fascinating, and I guess in some ways, Lewis, for some of these drivers, their first chance at a competitive race on Rennsport at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, no, like I say, I'm very interested to see how this one goes. Like, Road Atlanta is one of the newest circuits. Of course, obviously, Orchard Road, the one we did last, is the newest circuit on RaceSport. But this came out with Daytona through the, I was going to say, just about the end of last year. I think it was about October, November last year when we dropped these two circuits. So even like the very best of them don't have that much experience on this circuit in game, which, by the way, is Laserscan.
Is this the track where Jamie Fluke won, by the way?
Yes, it is.
That's why I will always remember this. Jamie Fluke being
clearly,
able to win.
You had to question it.
Yeah, well, you know, I have to question a lot of things, let's be real. Including my sanity and existence sometimes.
Fair enough.
Well, it's 35 thousandths that's put Beneke from Toman at the front. Not the first time Beneke's been on pole, but I think it's the first time that we're questioning how comfortable he's going to be with some of the pressure that lines up behind, and it's going to all be about that run out of turn 7. If Beneke makes one small slip up, Toman, Kazmon, they could be there, and they could be there looking to pounce. I've got to ask, Lewis, does Beneke's now streak of not being #1 start to continue?
He's winning this race. He's
winning this race.
Yeah, I think Yuri Toman's going to challenge him. Obviously, there was contact between the pair of them back in Orchard Road, but I think it's Beneke on top.
Well, now we just wait for the lights to begin to build and the drivers to get this race underway. We've had a fascinating journey to get here, but now, of course, only 12 will leave Road Atlanta knowing that they are part of the Grand Showdown. On April the 6th, 3 tracks, 3 intense races, 1 champion will leave as the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland 2024 King. Drivers now, with their attention still turned to the lights, just waiting for that Porsche Symphony to ring on out. And this is a very nervous time for the drivers as well. Just those final checks, the final preparations before they get going. Here we go, off and away, and Beneke goes nowhere. There's drama, and it was drama that maybe was needed. Another driver goes nowhere at the back of the field. What happens, though, as we come up to the first sector, running away at the Timo Kazmon slides into second as Yuri Toman leads us.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that one, but Beneke, I think it might have been Harper at the rear of the field. There was quite a people drove through Beneke as well, which was very confusing. I couldn't guarantee, basically, because we had something very similar back in Monza. I'm going to assume that Beneke probably hasn't moved from the grid. It's still there, even now. So it could be like a disconnection or something. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen now.
I think technically it's even worse than that. It's a desync, because look at our timing screen. Beneke's listed as the race leader. So for everyone else, Beneke's gone nowhere for your race leader momentarily. He was at the front. I think he's now realized that. I have no idea what the precedent is in this situation, though. Yuri Toman will lead us down into the braking zone, into turn 10A. Watch behind, though, because there could be a move from Schmiedel. Not going to have the chance to lunge it, though, on Moritz Lohner. The red line mode gray entry stays in line as we come back under that Porsche bridge, the Greensport bridge that will see us to the line. And there's the drama we needed, Lewis, to see Beneke's streak unfortunately not continue.
Yeah, so there might be a car. Yes, there's a couple of cars out here which they can see and they're darting around. I think even if they hit them, they won't actually make contact with anyone. But it does mean there's a nice chicane now. Now we do have turns 8 and 9 at Road Atlanta. So at least there's that. Of course, speaking realistically, for Beneke, by the way, it's not a commentator's curse. I said he was going to win, but we've said he's going to win in the previous 8 races.
True.
He's only lost 1 of them. So, yeah, ain't a commentator's curse. Just bad luck. That is bad luck. Not bad driving, just pure bad luck.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. There is no commentator's curse there.
No.
I will agree with you, unfortunately. Front of the field, Toman and Kazmon trying to break away from Christopher Dambeats. Dambeats came into this round of the championship 8th, by the way. He has a chance to try and close on the likes of Schmiedel to get as close as 6. Those will be valuable points going into that final, so there is still plenty to play for as we ride with one of the world's fastest drones. We've taken it from Red Bull Racing directly over to Road Atlanta, and now we'll look in towards the chicane. It's going to be Schmiedel in that mode grey car that forces Lohner to go deep under the brakes, but able to get it stopped just in time.
Yeah, Matej's also closed in and all of that. Of course, Matej's a bit lower down on the points, but this could be the big one, the big round where he can move back into it. Of course, again, do remember, no points dished out for this race as we head through the chicane on the start-finish straight. It's very Formula E-esque. There are no points in this race, but it means that we can see some of these drivers that are maybe a little further down, like Tusil or Egger or Lavin. Like if they're able to even keep some decent pace in the next race, then some decent points on the margin for them, and maybe we can see them move into the top 12.
So a 7th place finish in race number 2 would be enough for any one of Egger, Tusit, Ladler, Thunder, and Happler to advance. And that's before you factor in that Ladler comes into this with 2 points. Tusit has 1 point. So there are opportunities, like I mentioned, for those drivers to find their way into that final and be a part of where that prize money actually gets paid out. I'm not sure we're going to see much fighting at the front outside of maybe Moritz Lohner feeling the pressure, because 2 teammates up front, Kazbon riding behind Toman, and the wide boy's not going to make his car too wide up the inside.
No, indeed. I think he'll be pretty content being behind, obviously, his teammate, the pair of these R8G drivers. So I think so they'll be fairly resolute with what's going on. I think, like, I don't know if there's going to be any disappointment, right, with not being able to battle with Beneke, right? And the reason why I say that is because, realistically speaking, all you want from this race is experience. That's all you want. You just want the experience of battling with someone like Beneke, for example. Yeah, there's no prize money for this race. They were already through into the season finale anyway, and extra points, it doesn't really matter for them. They are purely here to build experience. And so the fact that your main rival, you now don't really have any idea as to what they're doing over a long run in a race, or what they're expected to do over the 12 laps at Road Atlanta.
Max Beneke is in pit lane, by the way, so we'll see what happens with him if he can get things fixed and sorted in time for race number 2. By the way, someone in chat said, say the full name.
Go on.
We have actually gone and asked Flavio, how do we say your name? And he said, just say Tusit. So, Flavio Tusit, Flavio T, I mean Mr. T, are we going to go with that instead?
Tusit for Maxi.
I mean, there you go. You tried it.
I tried.
Acid Green. Acid Green's a good name for a color, I must say. And again, he's got 4 seconds up to Egger. He's got to try and find a way to close that gap, because it could be between them in terms of potentially being in the final. He looks pretty calm right now, given what's unfolded so far, as the car gets a little bit squirrely from underneath him.
Yeah, I'll probably have to deal with the pressure of Ladler behind. Of course, that car there. So I'm looking again. I said it was Habler. I don't believe it is. I think it might be Egger, and it makes sense because that gap is really, really large anyway. So we're going to find out what happens when he crosses the line. Does he stay in 7th?
Oh, I see.
Beneke just bailed because it is, like I say, it is the right colour. I didn't see a mode grey on there.
Right.
And it does look like the amethyst metallic that belongs to Egger's car.
Word is, by the way, Beneke is going to be, like I mentioned, trying to reset for the 2nd race. So hopefully we get him back in time. As out of turn 7, as Lewis mentioned, way tighter than 90 degrees. And therefore, as you're trying to get onto the power, it's always the never-ending game of patience and hoping the car settled enough. These two split by half a second, pulling away from Dambeats, Lohner, Schmiedel, and Mateo, the rest of the top 6. As they run now into the braking zone. Kazabon's not that close, let's be completely honest. There's probably around 3 car lengths between the two of them, but closes slightly more. And we did see on the streets of Singapore, end of the race, the driver in 2nd increasingly start to put the pressure on. Lewis, it does seem as though there's an opportunity to keep the pressure on.
And it turns out I'm getting dobbed into old Tusit there with my little pronunciation of his name. We will, by the way, if
How
he
close
does get
were you?
through, I have no idea. Probably not very.
Okay.
If he does get through, if he scores enough points and does get through into the season finale, we want a correct pronunciation as to how to say his name, because we will absolutely say it for that season finale, right?
Maybe this is going to be quite hard on our production team, but maybe what we need to do is have them get a clip of him saying his name, and every time we want to say it, we just play that clip instead. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, we've got soundboards on Discord and stuff. It's fine. We'll be able to do that. And here comes, press the button.
Can you imagine when we can commentate like that, Lewis?
Oh.
Just, you know.
I mean, that's basically just AI taking over, really, isn't it? It's not the same. That's not commentating.
No, it's well.
I've got plenty of stuff that we'd throw in on the soundboard. That's the problem, is that I'd put Anuja Kinakakpaki on there.
Oh yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. The great thing about AI is you can actually translate commentators to talk in other languages. Have you ever heard Lewis? Have you ever heard yourself, Lewis, talk in Spanish, commentate in Spanish? It's fascinating. I'll see if I can find that clip.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
I've commentated in Finnish before. No, me in finish. I've done it in finish, apparently.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. It's
I say
great.
why? No, that is fascinating. That is fascinating.
Because that is what AI is good for, apparently.
Apparently. Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, no. I was saying Edgar has dropped back, but no, he actually remains in 7th position. So clearly the Desync's still remaining in that spot. I can't imagine he's actually going to hold on to 7th spot by the end of the race.
Well, so I think the issue is more going to be, right, not in this race. It's going to be the start of race number 2.
Next one, yeah.
Because if he's, in that same situation, no one else will know where he is. And so, Tusit, Ladler, Thunder, and Happel on that opening lap, they'll be jockeying for position. And they may just drive inadvertently through Edgar. So, it's one of those situations where no one's expecting to make contact. So you just might have that resulting bit of aftermath. So I think this time by 5 to go, right?
Yes. It'll be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's good. That's nice. We can count. No, I mean, yeah, so I wonder if that's what happened to Bennica, because obviously it was out T7 where he dropped down the order. I wonder if basically Yuri Topa just drove straight through him. He might have been like, not again, after Orchard Road. And then was like, oh, right, I was decent.
I believe that Bennica did say, by the way, that he did have a bit of contact. He wasn't blaming any of the other drivers for it. No. Just to be clear, he was just saying that, he wasn't visible for them, and so there was a bit of contact. So something just to keep in mind going on to April the 6th. Here we go, top of turn 3. It's going to be 3/10 between these two, and then 2 and a bit odd seconds further back. Now, timing tower is showing a bit of movement, but I think that's more just as the sectors all get updated. Thibaut Casabon almost off into the grass down through turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly pushing. I mean, to be fair, at this point, as much as they're looking for first and second, again, they're still wanting to learn long run pace, right? They're still wanting to be able to figure out what's going to happen with the car over the full race distance, because 1, they're going to have to do it again in the next race, and 2, they're going to have to do it again in about a month's time anyway. As much as they should already know what the car's going to do in a long run pace, still, even though you do it in practice time and time again, still some subtle things in races can kind of catch it. If not, you might just see them fight. We did see Bennica and Patrick Holtzman battle a little bit at the last round, so maybe we'll see the teammates of RAG
Here we go.
That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and that was Toman having to go defensive. Casabon alongside, but with contact. Oh, teammate on teammate drama. Will this allow Danmeet and Loner to begin closing underneath the bridge, side by side, and to the line? Yuri Toman the long way around, going to see Thibaut Casabon take away the point, and we've got a battle here with 4 laps left to go.
Again, still ignore that car on the start-finish straight, but wow, there were some big slides coming in there from Thibaut Casabon as he now takes over the race lead. That will actually pass on some pretty good vibes back to Max Bennica, because he's probably looking at this thinking, I can race. All right. Obviously, it is always down into 10A, 10B, but he made that one stick going down that 80-foot drop down towards the final corner at apparently 12.
Oh,
because the corner after 10B would obviously be turn 12, because you would count the corner that's not on the layout that's currently on the circuit.
You are sliding all these little shots at the corner numberings in there, and I'm here for it. It's close not just between second and third, but Moritz Loder has been getting more confident slowly over the course of today's proceedings. He's now onto the back of Christopher Danmeet in that privateer entry, and the sole surviving Mouse representative today is going to try and make his way maybe down the inside into the chicane. He's running out of time to make this pass happen. They pulled a bit of a gap to Mikkel Schmiedel. 4 drivers split by less than 2 seconds at the front. Lewis, this is something we haven't seen so far this season.
Looking like we're turning to race of the season thus far, but partly is because I don't want to be that guy. It's kind of what happens in Formula 1 when, oh my goodness, Moritz, where are you going, son? He kept his foot in though, respect that. It's kind of what happens in Formula 1 when Verstappen has a problem, isn't it? It's good. The race becomes instantly far more interesting, because it's just all like, oh cool, someone else is battling for the win, and now suddenly it's all a lot closer and a lot more exciting. I'm sure if Bennica was in this race, that it would potentially still be exciting, but then with Bennica, I'm always sort of like, maybe he would have just checked out to the distance again. He always does.
I mean, he'd be at the front. I think we're probably both agreed on that one. So, yeah, he might have checked out. Not sure. Now, Thibaut Casabon's checking away from his teammate, so keep an eye on the gap. It's up to 6/10 or so, and the draft, while it's important, it's not the be-all and end-all. The exit out of turn 7's a defining, I think, factor of your entry speed into the next heavy braking zone, and you can see that just at the top of the shot, Thibaut Casabon did get a pretty decent run. So 2 to go this time by. This to just set the grid for the second 12-lap race that we've got coming up after this. Egger's still got that gap to Two-Sit Thunder and Ladler as well, so very much eyes focused towards the front and the fight for the race win here, with no points definitely to think about, but bragging rights on the line.
Exactly. I mean, Egger must have done a really good job on that first lap to avoid all the drama. And we'll, like I say, maybe we'll have to do it again. We don't know how the desync works, as to whether we'll have to desync again. Nice close-up view there of the 28. Kazabon seems to have the measure of his teammate, but then again, I thought Yuri Toman had the measure of his teammate in Kazabon for quite a majority of this race. 2 laps left to go. We could well see some combat going on to that last lap of proceedings, maybe even down into 10A this time.
Can we get some last lap drama, please? Maybe even into that final corner. That would be nice, because side-by-side, you know, especially in these cars, Lewis, side-by-side is brave in any car at Road Atlanta through that final plunging right-hander. But with these cars, I want no part of it.
Yeah, because they slide around too much. You know, you do something in, like, I don't know, let's say like a Formula 4 or something like that. You know, going through that final corner, you've kind of got enough grip to keep you on the road. Even GT3s to a certain degree. Yeah, you've got enough grip to kind of keep you planted on the road. When it comes to these kind of cars, you don't necessarily have the downforce and the grip to keep you pointing the right way. So when you're going side by side, you want to keep as pinned as possible, but you're still slipping and sliding constantly. We kind of saw that as Kazabon got the up and under.
Yeah, and don't think that Toman's close enough to force the issue this time by. He needs to be within around 2-3 tenths of a second coming out of turn 7. Similarly behind, Dambeats and Loner, no change between them. As to the line, 1 more lap to go here at Road Atlanta. I mean, it is such a fantastic racing facility, and it's no surprise that it's produced what may be the best race of the season. Bouncing through the grass there goes second place Yuri Toman on the hunt for the race win, but with 4 cars split by less than 2.5 seconds, no Bennica out front. I think the story is all going to be if Yuri Toman can get close enough to have a look, but that run out of turn 3, that bump that he had, slightly unsettled the car.
Yeah, indeed, as they descend once more, I think it might be enough of a gap, half a second between Thibaut Kazabon and Yuri Toman, about half a second as well, slightly less between Dambeats, who, let's give a shout out, by the way, great race thus far to be able to finish on the podium in this qualifying race. Moritz Lerner's close enough. I think it is all this run down towards 10A. There's not going to be anything for the race lead, though. Yuri Toman, weirdly enough, I think he's overdone his tyres, Arjuna. I think he very counter to what we normally see from him.
Yeah, especially given, you know, we kind of expected back at Singapore that he might be the driver that could have put the pressure on to Max Bennica. It was within 0.4 of a second at the end of that first race at Singapore. This is going to be a slightly bigger margin, but realistically, all that drama that began on the first lap, it never really settled down, and now we're simmering, we're boiling, bubbling over for the main race that lies ahead. It's Thibaut Kazabon down and out of the final corner that will win race 1 here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, but the job's not done just yet. 1 more race to go, and then we'll know the 12 drivers that will fight for the championship on April the 6th.
Yeah, indeed. So we will get the exciting showdown of Bennica starting from the rear of the field and working his way up, provided he doesn't desync again. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember back into Monza? Because Dennis Schoeniger did desynced. Did he desync from both races? I kind of want to say, I think he might have done.
He did, but I don't think that like Bennica did. He left the session to try and rejoin it. So
that's a good point.
You know, there have been steps being taken, so that's something to keep in mind. And I have no doubt that when we go to the final April the 6th, there will be a few more rules and regulations in place. Quick look at the results. It's 9 tenths between Kazabon and Toman, almost a full second at the line, and then Dambeats just clear of Loner, with Schmiedel and Mattea dropping back in those back half of the race. Lucas Egger does a great job with that desync to hold on to 7th, and with that would be good enough for, I think, him to grab a spot inside of the top 12 in points, down to Flavio Two-Sit, Dominic Ladler, Joachim Thunder, and Kimi Happala, who will all be hoping to just try and get to the end of this next race without too much drama, as potentially Max Bennica tries to work his way through the field from the very tail end. Well, unfortunately, in some ways, I feel like, you know, we keep talking about the streak of Max Bennica. Is it going to come to an end? And no commentator's curse. I think definitely Lewis McClade is going to make that argument, but maybe we should stop talking so much about Max being on top and the streak. Let's just enjoy it while it lasts.
Look, Max has been the dominant force in this championship. That is, no one's doubting that at all. But this, maybe this is a bit of a turning point. You don't want to end the season with a big slump like this. But to be fair, I will say, from this position, from starting from the rear of the field, even if there is no desync or whatever, I don't actually see him winning this race from the rear of the field, because it's not an easy circuit to overtake at. We saw his teammate struggle a little bit. Now, yes, I know he's plenty fast enough than Maurice Lerner around here from what we've seen in qualifying. I just don't think he's going to be able to make enough progress in 12 laps to get up to the rear end of the two RHGs, who were pretty quick in qualifying as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because he's got to pass even Schmiedel, you know, Lohner, all those drivers to get up to the top two. Probably not enough laps in 12. You know, we kind of talked last week about how, you know, Beneke didn't even need to be here, right? Like, he was probably comfortable in staying at the top of the championship and grabbing the most points advantage going into the start of the finals. So, you know, he's here just to continue building that experience, not fall out of the rhythm. And like you say, momentum in a championship can be important. Hopefully you'll put that to one side. For the rest of the drivers, though, now, Lewis, there is a little bit you feel that's up for grab, because even between Toman and Kazabon, I guess they've got a chance. Maybe mathematically, they already will surpass Patrick Holtzman to get up to third in points. And these, again, are all small advantages they'll have going into the championship showdown, where no prize money's been paid out just yet. That's the thing we should emphasize.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all dealt with at the start of April. I mean, for Thibaut Kazbon, obviously it was a 1-2 there for RHG, which is great. But importantly there, Kazbon's the first driver that isn't part of this brand, you know, to win a race this season. That is an important bit. Now, whether you said that's because Beneke's you know, issues, the important bit was that Kazbon actually looked really fast towards the end of the race. That's the important bit to focus on. I don't know what Beneke would have looked like. You know, we just don't know. But the fact that Kazbon was looking fast over the final few laps, we'll have to wait and see.
So here's a look at a replay, I do believe. And it's out through this is highlights, excuse me, of the opening race. That's what happened to Beneke. So no one else would have seen him in that position. Ends up pointed in the wrong direction and in the wall. And I was a bit confused because we could see Beneke moving around as to whether something had happened, if that was live pictures or not. Down through the chicane, I mean, this was the likes of Lohner and Schmiedel all just working their way on through. And close concertina racing is what you love in these Porsche Carrera Cup machines.
Yeah, indeed. That's you see some of those moves in the mid-pack that maybe we didn't quite catch a look at. We saw some great fighting up and down the order, mostly with that move with Kazbon and the like, but still there was plenty even back here. Of course, the mode grey car of Schmiedel having a little bit of a fight. There is the little bit of a look and the bit of contact between the two RHG teammates.
It's a small bit of contact, but the up and under, Crofty would say the switcheroo, able to fire it on through, but took a bit of help from the teammate eventually out of that final corner. Definitely not a place where you want to be side by side and fighting in the battle, but then down and to the line, Thibaut Kazbon for RHG, the wide boy himself, coming out on top, and now race 2 only a couple of minutes away. Arjuna Kankipati, Lewis McLeod here alongside here on Porsche's Twitch. One great race done, but no points being paid out. Just the grid for the second race has been set, and two RHG drivers now on that front row. Standing starts here on Rennsport, Lewis. How easy are they for the drivers, right? Because that's one thing where standing starts, you know, some of these drivers have done Porsche Esports Super Cup for years. They're used to the standing starts. Whereas I remember I've never really done many standing starts in my driving career.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, I mean, most of mine are, like most of my racing starts, they're always standing. Yeah, exactly, but they're almost always standing starts. And I would say that these are not hard to get off the line. You don't really get that much wheel spin. You can effectively, if you really want to, it's not necessarily the fastest way in these cars. You can just clutch it, drop the clutch, off you go. Like it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. There's no like, oh, you know, use your double clutch or whatever to try and find the right bite point and send it off into. You don't need that. You can literally just, you know, 2 feet, one on the clutch, one on the throttle, lift the clutch off you go. It's not that bad. Or you can do the whole the classic start, which is leave it in neutral and then just spam it up into first on the race start. It technically works.
Yes, but isn't that what cost Sebastian Job on his ESL R1 debut? So. Because he clicked into... Well, no, I thought he clicked into gear a second too early and therefore jumped the start.
Yeah, maybe. No, I think there was more to it than that.
Okay, there was more to that. Okay.
Yeah, I think there was more to it than that.
I'm going to trust your knowledge, to be fair.
It might be. I don't know.
But you're probably...
Are you saying that Sebastian Job made a mistake?
I mean, it's happened, hasn't it? In the past. Everyone's made a mistake. I hope.
Right, mate.
I know Lewis is perfect, though.
Yeah, exactly. I've never made a mistake. I have never jumped to start.
Never crashed a car either.
No, never crashed a car at Spa going into a Rouge. Never got a pit lane penalty for serving a pit lane penalty. Never done any of those things.
What a great shot of the cars. Now, Poison ready to go. Just waiting, of course, for the Porsche Symphony to begin and for the drivers to be fired off into that opening corner and to begin the climb up to turn 3, where hopefully they'll get single filed out. We've already had our share of drama. I see Benica filtered onto the grid. Let's go racing one more time at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Good start from pole for Casbon. Toman will hold on to second. Single file with fire through the right-hander and climb up through the hill. Seems like all 12 machines with a nice and tidy start as we crest our way down into the S's.
Yeah, now we get to have some serious excitement. Obviously, I'm sure there's a bit of a heart and mouth moment there for the likes of Egger and, of course, for Max Benica. But Benica is in the race, is underway, and we will see him work his way up the order. Casabon leading as they come out of T5. Pressure being built, of course. The likes of Dan Beats. Lerner struggled at the early phases of the race as he was defending from Schmiedel. Will probably have to do very much the same thing again. I don't know if it'll be too long before they're seeing the Mighty Mouse in speed yellow appear behind.
Now, does Mouse actually have a Mighty Mouse?
No, probably not.
I was going to say, that is a missed branding, marketing opportunity. Michelin's got the Bendham. Mouse needs the mouse. Anyway, on board with a couple of these drivers as in towards the chicane will go. Already, Benica's scored up in 8th position now as it resets on the timing screen. I was about to say, what a rip-roaring opening lap that would have been for him to climb his way half the way through the field, but 8th not bad. As around goes 1, and it's Benica!
Nice, that's fair enough. No idea what that's for. I mean, I will say, we're talking about mistakes and stuff from certain drivers. I find it very hard to believe that Benica got it that wrong going into the game. What I'm saying there is that there was 100% someone else involved. I don't know on which side, and I don't know who's to blame because we've not seen it yet. But there was absolutely another car there that caused that incident.
Well, we weren't sure if Benica was going to be a part of race number 2. Now we know he won't be a part of the remaining 11 laps of race number 2. That's him done and dusted in that 71 speed yellow machine. Oh, Yuri Toman, all sorts of sideways coming out of turn 5.
That was a sketchy moment, and what he's doing is he's allowing his teammate to clear out an 8/10 margin. Casabon may be starting to throw down the gauntlet and say, no, actually, do you know what? I'm the lead here in the R8G squad. Thank you very much. Going into the season finale, going to be a very important win. Dan Beats not representing either squad, Mouse or R8G. Fancies his maybe a turn for him to throw himself into the mix. I see a replay.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one. And Lewis, I mean, you were the one that talked about contact.
Yeah, he just got sent around by Two-Sit.
Was that Two-Sit? Oh,
I think so. I think it's the acid green, wasn't it?
It was the acid green. Good eye. And that's where the colours, lovely colours, by the way, helping to piece those things together. Toman's closed just that little bit more, though, as he come back under the bridge to end lap number 2. But drama for Benica down the back. And now we can see potentially what will be a repeat race winner in Thibaut Casbon. Only our 3rd race winner of the season. That is a crazy stat to think about. We've only had one driver get on pole, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's only been Benica all the way through. Got to say, feel bad for Benica on that one. It's just nothing he could really do. Obviously, just was minding his own business and then got slapped by Two-Sit, who will almost certainly get a penalty, by the way, for that one, because there was nothing Benica could do. Just keeping it on the racing line, just got slapped. I understand the frustration, but again, I think the real problem there for Benica is that he's not getting the in-race experience in these cars around here. I don't think it'll matter that much, but it will be something to note going into the season finale.
And I think what this means is now Egger, who I think also has cleared his technical issues from race 1, so everyone can see him as well. Comfortable in 7th, and that should see him grab 13 points out of this one with no race control decisions hopefully looming over him. That should be good enough for him to be locked into the final. It bumps out Wojciech Fiala, though. Dennis Schoeniger now with 9 points becomes the driver sitting in 12th, at least provisionally. Never trust the commentators' math. As we finish up on lap number 3. 3 drivers at the front starting to run away. Moritz Lohner feeling the pressure from Michael Schmiedel.
Yeah, indeed, which he obviously dealt with in the previous race. We'll have to deal with once more. The two of those seem like they're basically on the same sort of pace around here at Road Atlanta. I say 3 laps down. I'm actually surprised Yuri Toman was able to close straight back down on Thibaut Casbon, because that gap was close to a second, but he's managed to drag it back down. Maybe that is the slipstream down the back stretch, or maybe it was just a bit of a poor few corners for the Frenchman. Bit more of a slide there coming in from Smeedle. Matea's not out of sneaking a pretty solid result from this race either.
No, Matea solidly sitting there in 6th. Came into this round of the championship 7th in his brute Porsche 992 Cup car, and has had a very, very solid season. Up front, by the way, just a quick shout out for Yuri Toman and Thibaut Casabon. Their big boss, Romain Grosjean, had a great day in qualifying yesterday in the NTT IndyCar Series as it gets ready to kick its 2024 campaign off. Romain should have a pretty good day, hopefully, today as well, and I'm sure his drivers will be cheering him on. Not just because, did you see the new RHG livery, Lewis?
No, I've not.
I know you should have, because I've sent a link in a Discord that we're both a part of, so I'm going to draw your attention to that. But what they've done, Lewis, is they've taken the RHG livery from last year and added some Hunkos Hollinger racing colors onto it.
Oh, really? Yeah, you're definitely going to have to link that one to me, because I'm interested. I'm curious, but I don't know. I don't know if I like the sound of that. I won't lie.
The answer to that question, by the way, is no. You're not going to like the sound of it. No, it's not good.
Yeesh. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll discuss that one probably post event. But yeah, no, not ideal. Not ideal.
It's suboptimal. To quote a Lewis McLean parlance, they're all, by the way, in the same machine. If you're curious, I saw a question on the Porsche Twitch chat. These are the Porsche 992 generation Cup cars. I mean, we're talking good 500-600 horsepower. They can come with no ABS, no traction control, but we have some of those aids enabled for the drivers today. It doesn't mean it's an easy machine to control. It's where all Porsche factory drivers get their foothold before they go off and race the big GT3 machines.
Yeah, I mean, I will say when it comes to this race, by the way, just to drag it a little bit back on top of it, that is horrible. I do remember you linking that before. I didn't think that was an RHG. I'm not going to lie.
It's really bad, isn't it?
That's horrendous. Sorry.
They've taken where the orange used to be and they've just put green on it. Sorry, we're getting very off topic.
No. What I was going to say was, well, how many points is it for 7th place?
6.
Right. So at the moment, obviously, when we talk championship, Wojciech Fiala is in 12th position and has 5 points. You said before, someone getting in 7th place. Egger is in 7th place, has absolutely no threat from behind.
Yes. Now, the thing that you've also just made me realize is there any chance that Dennis Schoeniger could be in danger from anyone else, right? Because Ladler sits there in 9th position. He came in with 2 points. 9th gives you 4. So he would still be 3 points short. He would need to get 3 more. He'd basically need to be where Matea is to make it in. So I think right now, Egger's good. No one else. Tusit had 1 point coming into this, so 8th position gives him 5. He's still a couple of points short.
But what this does mean, though, is that Egger, Tusit, Ladler, and Wojciech, those 3 rather, they will all be on. They will be on 6 points. Yeah, they would be, wouldn't they? Yeah, because Egger obviously has no points and would be on 6. Tusit has 1 point and is scoring 5, so we'll be on 6. Ladler has 2 points and is currently scoring 4, so we'll be on 6 points. I think on count back, then it would be Egger because it has the highest result. But still, it's an interesting thought.
Yes. So what you're saying is, let's get the drama out there. Let's get the script writers into action.
Yes, indeed. Do have a note from Race Control. Oh, actually, speaking of Tusit, we salute you, sir. Actually, this is going to change things, so I'll read this out as well. Tusit will be receiving a 10-second time penalty for that instance with Max Benneker. So, sorry, Egger. You ain't doing it, because Ladler with 2 points will then move up to 8th position, scoring 5 points, so we'll have 7 points, which will in turn mean that they are the one qualified. We do have a spot open, though.
No, Egger would still have it, because Egger came in with 3 points.
Oh, he came in with 3, did he?
Yes, at least I'm pretty sure, unless there's a different Egger on Lucas Egger on the... Ooh, that's Tusit already had a 10-second penalty, and now he's passed anyway by Ladler.
No, fair enough, then Egger will have it. But then Egger's... This is very... We're not very good at this.
No, well, I thought I got the situation clear slightly earlier. Now you've confused me. Egger came in with 3 points. He's got 6 points to his name provisionally right now. He's got 9 points, so he's tied with Dennis Schoeniger, right?
Okay, cool.
Have we got back to that state?
That's fine. That's fine. No, it's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't have a full list of points in front of me, unfortunately. So no idea. But alas, that is the case then. And so Egger, who has been by far like much quicker than Ladder and Tusit anyway, but Tusit now drops back regardless.
Yes.
So that 10-second time penalty will drop him behind Hubler and of course everyone's favourite Thunder. But still.
I mean, let's just put it this way. For Ladler, for Tusit, Egger, Hapler, and Thunder, as someone's just said on our RaceSpotTV YouTube chat, Lewis, they've got a story to tell their grandchildren. They finished in front of Max Bennica.
Indeed. That's how I keep repeating the same story of once I defended an entire race with Rudy Van Buren.
Or are you talking about your exploits at Bathurst?
Yeah, that's true. I do talk about that one a little bit. I will say the Rudy Van Buren one, he did have, I think it was something like, I think it was 75 kilos was maximum ballast. I think I had like 20. So we had a 55 kilo heavier car than me, but I still kept him behind all race. So, you know, that's fine. That's Rudy Van Buren, by the way, that I get you saying. Just checking that one out there. He's quite good.
55 kilos, wow.
It's true.
He was a whole extra person on him as well.
Horrendous. A whole extra person? Yeah, if the person's Ewan O'Leary.
To be fair, Ewan O'Leary definitely doesn't eat like his size.
No,
he eats more than me.
He does actually weigh about 55 kilos as well. It's really outing him on this broadcast.
He got absolutely just thrown under the bus there, and he wasn't even here to say anything about it. Now, Toman's kept it close at the front, but not as close as Casabon did at times. Now, remember, when Casabon made the move, he was within 2 car lengths coming out of turn 7. A bit of opposite lock there. I mean, they're working hard. They've dropped Christopher Danby slightly. He's 1 second off the back of the top 2 as they sit right now. Surely there's not going to be any chaos and drama between the teammates, right?
I mean, I think they're battling. Like if Yuri Toman's close enough, he's definitely going to try and go through. But realistically speaking, from what I'm seeing from this onboard, I think Yuri Toman's overdriving the car more than we were seeing from Timo Kazan. We've seen so many slides from him, and all that's doing is it's overheating the rear tyres. So his rear tyres are going to be in a really nasty spot right now. And it doesn't look like his driving approach, at least this round, is particularly helping, which is very counter to what we normally see from Yuri Toman. It's normally a very... He looks very intense, but the car's normally fairly sedate and secure to the race surface.
Yes. I'm just looking at that focus as well. A lot of the time we see that focus from Yuri. Out of that final corner, though, it's not worry, but he's pushing. And maybe for the first time this season, he's really having to work hard, because I think there is the chance that these two are going to fight as they increasingly put some gap on the cars behind. I said 2 car lengths, what you really need to be out of turn 7 to have a chance to get a pass down out of turn 10. Now, he's dropped back slightly through the S's, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Gives you a chance. Just get a better run out of turn 5. Casabon just seems a bit better through the opening sector.
Yeah, see, last time he hit the curb and it oversteered. This time he didn't hit the curb and it understeered. So there's somewhere some middle ground required in all of that. It's not looking ideal for Yuri Toman right now, as Timo Casabon desperate to take the clean sweep of victories, at least in the races. Didn't get pole position, but is looking strong when it comes to the 12-lap races. Has led every lap of this feature race thus far, and led a fair amount. The final portion of the qualifying race. It's tough.
The reason why I brought up the new RAG livery, by the way, is the Viper Green on Yuri Toman's card. It's not too...
It's not, yeah, it's close.
It's not too unfamiliar. There was a reason to that point that I brought up a couple of laps ago. 2 laps to go. This time by, you see in the rearview mirror, by the way, nothing to worry about. Christopher Danmeets is going to grab third, but it would seem Lohner and Schmiedel about a second separating them as we head back toward the line. Wide boy Thibaut Casabon's hoping he's got the widest Porsche in the history of the world now.
Yep, and now we'll have to potentially start thinking about getting through an interview without giggling. That's fine, because he is wide boy Casabon right now. With those 2 laps, like I say, for him it's about not making mistakes, right? That's the important bit for him. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't see Yuri Toman being able to pass. I think because Yuri Toman's been overdriving the car so much, I just don't think he's going to have the grip to be able to make a pass.
Sometimes they say smooth is quick, right? And it's so true. The less effort you need to take out of the tire to get the speed from them, the better it would be. Yuri Toman has had a bit of a chat on occasion with someone in his ear on these back straightaways. I'm not sure if he's necessarily talking to Thibaut Casabon, but there's definitely been a few moments where it seems as though he's been expressing not frustration, but just the realization that he's not going to be able to get past. He really sent it under the brakes there. Just look at how Casabon just opens back up the margin on power. One more lap to go. We're about to see for the first time this season a non-Mouse driver win. The question is, which one will it be? Casabon and Toman split by half a second.
Well, I mean, look, they could crash. Dan Beats could get involved, and it could be Moritz Lerner coming through. You never really know, so don't count your chickens. But right now, it does seem as though, you know, Casabon's got the advantage. But the amount, the confidence from Yuri Toman going down to 10A and 10B on those brakes, it might just be enough to open up the opportunity.
But come on, you still need to be within those 2 car lengths. And here out of turn 5, not sideways by either driver. He was a little bit closer. It's going to have to be. Now, turn 6 is cambered in. Turn 7, being tighter than 90 degrees, you've got to slightly compensate for. That's a big send from Toman onto the brakes now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is closer than he has been all race, although he's drifted wide from the apex at 7. We go out onto this stretch. The gap is fairly large. The slipstream's kind of high in this car, but I don't see that being close enough unless he absolutely obliterates Casabon here.
What could have been? I think it's going to be really interesting to talk to Casabon. Hopefully we get Toman as well, because what a fascinating battle between the two of them. After the drama of race number 1, Thibaut Casabon leads from flag to flag. It's RAG 1 and 2. Thibaut Casabon winning in the penultimate round of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. And now we've got our grand final locked and loaded. On the 6th of April, a champion will be crowned.
Yeah, and it is Wide Boy Casabon on top then, taking maximum points here, and there he is in not Wide Boy. So I think when we interview him, he's not going to be.
Oh,
it's just when he's fitting into that little camera back there, isn't it?
Oh, that's a shame, because the Wide Boy
devastating you, isn't it?
So many jokes can be made. 3/10 the margin at the line. That's one of the closer finishes that we have had this season as well. So we talked a lot about tires falling off. Yuri Toman was there at the end, and now as the drivers finish their cool-down lap, we'll grab a look at the results. We'll chat and grab some quick reactions from the drivers, and then, well, we'll know the 12 and we'll set things up for April the 6th. Again, Casabon Toman, maximum points for RAG heading out of Road Atlanta, with Christopher Danbeats surely very, very happy with a very solid 3rd place finish. Moritz Lerner, the best representative for Mouse today after Max Benneker's misfortune. Mikkel Schmiedel 5th, Lucas Mattea 6th, and then Lucas Egger doing enough, we think, to see him work his way into the grand final. Dominic Ladler, Joachim Thunder, Flavio Tusit, and Kimi Happala all finish in front of Max Benneker, the only DNF of the race after a bit of chaos on that opening lap of race number 2. We'll give it a few moments time for the RAG duo to breathe just for a few moments time, but I think we're ready to make our way down for some post-race chats. Lewis McLeod standing by with your race winner, Thibaut Casabon.
Yeah, Thibaut, talk to us about that race. Looked like a bit of fun out there for you and Yuri today. Obviously, the issues for Max Benneker, you took full advantage.
Yeah, honestly, this is the maximum that we can do, P1, P2. This is also very good on the jump, because we are currently P4 and P5. So yeah, we are jumping, I think, P3 and P4 or something like that. So yeah, we are close to the top 3, and this is the best.
You seem to have some really good long-run pace there. Do you think if Max Benneker didn't have his issues, you had the pace to challenge him in that race?
Honestly, Max is very fast from the start of the season, so I think maybe we were able to just keep in front, but not to overtake. But we don't know if he was here, but I suppose not. But let's see in the final what can we do.
What are you expecting from that finale? Do you reckon you can win the whole thing, or is that maybe you may be thinking about like what else you can get? I guess.
No, honestly, Mouse and Max are very fast. I think from now what we can hope is at least the top 3, and then the rest will be the bonus. But as we saw on this track on Atlanta, this is very hard to keep the tires on the middle of the track. So yeah, on this game, this is not easy to keep the tires all the race. So it will be clearly the key for the final.
Well, cheers, Thibaut. Congratulations on your victory. Very well done. Maximum points here at Road Atlanta.
Thank you.
there we go. Thibaut Kazimon, our race winner. Hopefully we'll be able to jump straight over to Yuri Toman as well. Normally classified as the tyre whisperer. Looks a little bit different today. Were you overdriving a little bit there? We kind of saw in that final race.
Yeah, I think it's very, very difficult to keep the tires alive on this track with this car. It was kind of difficult because I had split duties with race room and the DTM championship, as Moritz can say probably. It had an impact on his performance as well, I guess. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Max, what happened to Max is not what should happen. But yeah, we kind of could use this situation. I'm a bit disappointed at myself for killing the tire in the first race because it could have been one step better. But 1-2 is pretty good. And anyway, it doesn't really matter because everything is going to be decided on the final. And we're getting closer and closer, I think, on pace in qualifying. So that's the important bit. And for the final, we will have all the time to prepare to give 100%. So looking forward to the final.
Obviously, in that first race, in the qualifier race, we saw you battling with Thibaut, and it was a pretty exciting battle. Of course, Thibaut came out on top in that one, but it was a lovely little fight. Was that kind of fun from your perspective, or was it more just like, oh god damn, he got through?
We are very careful with each other when we are fighting together, and we sort of like talk to each other if we're fighting or not. So it was good fun, of course. It didn't really get us into trouble from behind, so it was all good. And it's just very difficult to keep the tire alive, and that's the key in the race. And Thibaut was better at it today, and I'm happy for him to get a win finally in this championship. I would like to get it as well, but let's see in the final.
And very quickly then, before we let you go, obviously, one of the main things with you lot doing these rounds is to build a kind of experience going into that final. Road Atlanta will be one of those tracks. Do you think Max Benneker has lost potentially some extra data than what you've gained here? Because obviously he wasn't involved in that race I wasn't involved in the qualifying race at all, and then obviously issues in the feature race.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think he's pretty good at this game, as we could see. So I don't think he really lost anything. It's let's see in the final what we can do, what he can do, and what the Mouse guys can do, because Patrick wasn't here in this race. I don't know if there is something with him or what, but definitely he will be in the final, and very strong as always. So looking forward to a Mouse versus REG battle, and let's bring it on.
Look, we're excited for it. We hope you are as well. Yuri, thank you so much. Second place today.
Thank you.
That was a little fun catch up with both of the RHG drivers. Lewis, what did you take from those chats, other than I think them both recognizing that Max might have still won if he was up the front?
I think the main bit that I took from that is you tried making excuses for Moritz Lerner, and Yuri Toman dealt with those excuses and was like, well, actually, I'm still going to finish runner-up with them. No, I think it was very interesting. I think that there's maybe that whole thing of like, there's almost like the acceptance that Max Benneker is still really, really strong and obviously is the driver to beat. But maybe there's been that kind of thing of maybe he's not unbeatable.
We saw that last time. It took some contact to displace him from the front at Singapore. But yes, just a quick look at the schedule, of course, just to remind everybody, right, that we're almost there. On April the 6th, our final will happen. 3 unique tracks, all, very distinct as well, Lewis, in the aid of finding our champion. I think the final race is going to be at Road Atlanta as well. So that's going to be a really fascinating proposition. Given that, I think we did see today, it's a really fascinating track for these cars. Yeah,
I mean, look, these 3 circuits that we're doing the final in, they're all 3 very different circuits. Hockenheimring, arguably probably the most boring, but it still generally provides some decent racing with the hairpin. Spa is obviously a classic. We'll see some great racing around there. Road Atlanta is kind of like the outlier. It's the one that's maybe it's the oddity in there. It's the one that's maybe not so normal, that can cause its fair share of dramas and problems. So even if you had a good one over Hockenheimring and Spa, does not mean you're necessarily going to have a great one at Road Atlanta.
Well, with that, it's time for us to say goodbye. We'll see you on April the 6th for our grand final to determine the 2024 Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland champion, and some drama in the air. The streak of Max Benneker came to an end on the streets of Singapore, and Road Atlanta was the house of RAG today. Don't forget, plenty more Porsche Esports Carrera Cup action to come next week. The Porsche Esports Super Cup here live on Porsche's Twitch. But for now, for our team behind the scenes, for Connery Maddock, Mike Yao, Hugo Louis, Luis alongside Dane Baird, Lewis McLean and myself, Arjuna Kangi Party. Can't wait to crown a champion on April the 6th. We'll see you then.